Folake, and you can read their bios, of course. I'm not going to go into details about that. And she is the emblem of Africa fashion design, as far as I'm concerned. And she is a designer extraordinaire, beautiful. Her designs are just, beyond Prada, beyond Gucci. And she is the house of Tiffany Amber. Those who don't know, that's the lady behind Tiffany Amber. And next to me here is Dawa. Dawa is the CEO and founder of Malawi Fashion Week. Yeah. And it will be very interesting to actually know, we don't normally hear a lot about, fashion coming from Malawi. I'm half Malawian, so I'm very excited about that. Yeah, so really the topic of our discussion today is Made in Africa, which is just something that is just empowers you. Immediately you say Made in Africa, it's something that you want to, feel good about. And Made in Africa, how African designers are influencing global trends. And to begin with, when we talk about African fashion, I don't know what everybody here thinks about, how they look at African fashion design. Do they look at kente? Is it the bubu? Is it the little black dress, which I had earlier? And is it this? And because I had to change, just to explain, I had to change because this young African fashion designer wanted me seen in this little dress, which doesn't scream African designer, but it is a young African designer who made it for me.
Who? You have to tell us the name.
Now, I promote all the African fashion designers, of course. So, basically, Africa fashion design is at the moment, everybody talks about Africa rising. Africa is big on the horizon. Everything is now, the whole world's focus is on Africa. And fashion design is part of that. And Africa fashion design, or fashion design at large, is a billion-dollar industry. So what is Africa actually doing to make this industry part and parcel of this Africa rising? And this is what our panel probably, we can begin with that with you, Aspasia. Where do you think Africa fashion design fits in this global phenomenon where everybody is talking about look to Africa?
Well, I mean, people have been looking to Africa since... let me just take a step back. I was wandering through a gallery in Dresden the other day and looking at the way Africans were represented on these 17th century paintings. Mm-hmm. And it was pre-slavery, and so the way people viewed Africans was like really fascinating. They were these beautiful, phenomenally proud, strong men dressed in these wonderful fabrics. They looked, so I thought this is very interesting. This has been a sort of process of communication between Africa and the world since forever. And what was really fascinating was to see these paintings and these representations of the way we really did not expect, in the sense that we've come to see Africa only as this like sort of, perhaps influenced by the 20s, this primitivism, which is not really what is the message that we've been sending out all these years, which is really interesting for me. But I think the communication goes both ways, because all of last season, every single fashion house in Europe and America was influenced by Africa, and all the collections had African themes. And what was interesting to me was to ask the question, was a lot of that stuff made in Africa, or did they take what is endemic, the creativity that is endemic, and did they produce it somewhere else? And then, secondly, there are lots of collaborations that are really fascinating and work really well. So something, for example, that's just been launched right now is a diesel collaboration, so diesel jeans, with Edun, which is that natural, organic. They're making all the jeans with Ugandan cotton, and they've used 9 designers from the collective Studio Africa to design the entire collection, and they're marketing it on a global scale. Is that an African endeavor? Well, it's something very interesting, and I think it's something to look at.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you know, if you talk about, you know, diesel coming in, you know, with the Ugandan cotton, it's always like Africa is actually influencing other designers who always have been there. But how do we move the African fashion design as indigenous African fashion designs, not to kind of like borrow or be seen as a source of inspiration by other bigger brands, but that African fashion design, for example, Tiffany Amber, should be seen in Saks, should be seen in Harrods, should be seen. We want to take the African fashion design as indigenous ones to the global stage. What are the impediments? What are the hurdles? Why are we not there yet? Maybe, Tiffany, you can actually start on that since you've been...
I think...
I called her Tiffany, you see, Folake.
I think there are many reasons why we're not there. Because as in every industry, you need to have a solid foundation on your own ground before anybody else can take you seriously. Ultimately, what matters to the buyers out there is that the product can sell. It's not about editorial anymore. At the beginning, when the phrase African fashion started, it was because we needed a lot of publicity. And the only way we could get publicity is to do something that's so ethnic, i.e. our prints, our colors, and just to get noticed. Now we're noticed. We want to sell. And if we keep doing the same prints, colors, even us Africans, some of us find our prints a bit restrictive.
I haven't seen a lot of African print, for example, today here. So is that an indication?
Because we've sold in Italy, we've sold in England, we've sold in America, and you find that the pieces that are picked up are the ones that don't seem so bold. So people don't want to think before they pick up things anymore. They want to just pick it up and wear it. Now, Africa, 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 I think, don't believe the hype. Work on your infrastructure at home. Because the only way the market over there will take us seriously is if they come here. I mean, the editor of Vogue Italia was in Nigeria last year.
She came to see you.
She was with us for so long, and Susie Menkins was there. And the first thing they say is, where's your retail district? And I remember one of them even saying, why have cake when there's no cherry? The publicity is there now. If we don't want to always be influencers, that color is very African, or that is very African. We need to be, my words are failing me. We need to show that we can sell.
So there has to be some form of an enabling environment for designers from the production side of things to retail, which you think is not there in Africa.
No, it's not here in Africa.
And what can we do about that?
Well, I'm going to use Elie Saab, the Lebanese designer, as an example. He was huge. He had a strong following in Lebanon and ultimately all of Asia before he became a global brand in the real sense of the word, showing in Paris Fashion Week, having a branch in almost every major department store. Now, there is absolutely no fashion brand that transcends the whole of Africa, i.e. an indigenous fashion brand, because every country has their own superstar. But we need to link everyone together and have a sustainable African fashion industry that can actually sustain itself without outsiders before we look into the market out there. Because the market out there is saturated. When the world is looking into Africa as influence, it's not because they want Africans to come out there, it's because they want to come into Africa and sell.
And I think, this is what we were discussing before. Shame, I feel we've had our conversation, and now you're listening to the tail end of it. But we were chatting outside, and we were saying, in South Africa, we're in the process of forming a national fashion council, which is basically trying to unite the provinces that do have a fashion industry. And already, our fashion industry is under a lot of pressure in South Africa from the Chinese mass manufacturing situation, or whatever the case may be. So the aim of the National Fashion Industry Council is to enable, firstly, production, retail, and quality.
Right.
Create certain standards, because we were discussing this before, and
Yes,
perhaps
exactly.
we must hand over to
Exactly,
you,
yeah.
because quality is a huge. So I think you need national bodies that are actually focused on creating, as you said, a strong local industry
Yes.
first.
Right.
And you've mentioned about access and visibility of African fashion to the outside world, and I think Africa is also being known to the world for its fashion weeks, and this is where you come in.
Yes.
Africa has got almost every country in Africa, every capital city in Africa has got its own fashion week. In London last year, we had Africa Fashion Week London for the first time. There's Africa Fashion Week New York, Africa Fashion Week Atlanta, Africa Fashion Week Canada. Everywhere is Africa Fashion Week this year. And I spoke to one of another emblem of fashion design, Ozod Boateng, just a week ago, and I was actually asking him to get involved with the Africa Fashion Week London, which is taking place in a few months' time. And his first words really was saying, we have so many fashion weeks in Africa. Why can't we have something like the Eurovision contest where everybody comes together and then there's this big thing, then you come up with some, that was where he was leading to. We didn't actually go further than that. So you are one of those who are actually championing Malawi Fashion Week.
Yes.
What exactly does that involve and entail, and especially with the designers that you work with on the ground?
Okay, right now it's the first time Malawi has ever had a fashion week. Most of the time it's been at the level of fashion shows, and it's because people would buy an outfit and they would say, can you sew something like this? And they'll bring a catalog, and really that's the copying part of it. And our interest is to just make sure that the education is there, the workmanship and finishing, because that's the quality part of it. That's what determines what an end user will decide whether I want to buy this or not. I had a shop where I was selling a lot of clothes, and it's name brands, and it's from the Western, Calvin Klein's and Tommy Hilfiger. And you find out that the audience will go to a fashion show, and all they do is clap hands for the fashion designer, and then they go away. Mm-hmm. One of the questions and challenges you ask, what did you buy? It's the last thing they think about, actually. Mm-hmm. They're going and they dress in the Calvin Klein's, they go to a fashion show, and it's fashion designers, but then they leave without the decision of making a sale or even buying. So for our goal this year as Malawi Fashion Week, we just want to encourage the fashion designers to not look at it as a hobby, where it's a real, they make a decision to be in business, to be encouraged to go invest as a business so they can have mass production, but then the quality and finishing so that they can match up at the international level, which is a challenge.
It is a challenge, because how do you move from a catwalk show to actually making it a business that will actually be profitable and probably even grow and influence the global industry, which we are actually discussing, from a fashion week to something that is bigger? How do you transcend that? Because it just looks like it's something that so many fashion shows are happening now about Africa.
Yes.
But it ends at the catwalk. I think you've been involved a lot in fashion weeks. You've attended. She's an award-winning designer as well. So I don't know. Do you feel, having participated in some of the fashion weeks, you've been to Johannesburg Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, how does that, as a designer from Africa, how does that help you in propelling you to a global stage?
What do you mean a global stage in terms of what?
In terms of, do you, when you showcase at New York Fashion Week, for example, do you have buyers queuing up from China or somebody, maybe the whole front row? So what is in it for you as a designer when you showcase at such shows?
I think
as an African designer?
Different designers have different answers for that. For me, it's part of my branding process into solidifying myself more in Africa, because my ultimate goal is to become an African lifestyle brand, the leading African lifestyle brand.
We look forward to that.
That brand that's going to transcend the whole of Africa and provide the proper structure for many new entrants into the industry. Because for me, to nurture new talent, because you can't really say that this industry is a success when there are no successors. And if everybody is looking outwardly, the same thing that's happened to so many industries, like the medical industry in Nigeria, would happen to the fashion industry. So this going to the Fashion Week out there, it just makes us Africans, the African market, believe that, you know what, we're just as good as everybody else that you're going out there to look. So buy into this story and stop buying only into that story so we can develop what we have on ground here. Because it is one of the main ways Africa has been able to be... fashion has helped rebrand Africa. Now, when you Google Africa, it's no longer the poverty or drought or anything. You know, fashion pops up a lot. So we need to actually nurture.
So this is where media, like, Marie Claire South Africa is a big magazine that, a lot of women that we always look, it's kind of like a fashion Bible here. And the role of the media coming from, we are very new onto the market, bringing in the New African Woman magazine, and primarily we want to feature as many fashion designers of African descent as possible. And when I say African descent, I mean those in the diaspora as well. It can be in Jamaica, but, black designers as well. Marie Claire,
Well,
what
for us,
is the role
I think the media...
Can we use this as the closing?
Yeah.
Apparently, my apologies, I see we still have one more panel, but how dynamic. I kind of like this whole thing here. In fact, who once said, I think it's Marcus Garvey said, fashion gives us confidence. Without confidence, you're twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you've won even before you've started. So you guys give us confidence with your fashion.
Thank you.
So I think the media obviously has a dual role. On the one hand is obviously to support the designers through Fashion Week, and that is the role of Fashion Week, is to see the new collections. So it's a problem if you don't show at Fashion Week, because then we won't necessarily know what you've produced and will not be able to actually shoot it in the appropriate season and and the other thing is to actually, in South Africa we see our role as an advocacy group. So essentially the fashion industry is they're not major advertisers. No designer can actually also afford to advertise. So our job is to advocate their fashion in Africa, and that's what we do. And thirdly, that's why I sort of made sure I was on the National Fashion Council, because I believe that the industry needs a kickstart, and we need to look at those fundamentals and put them in place, which is retail. So I'm delighted to hear that we can now purchase just down the road. From when is the first collection going into the store?
Merchant,
to Merchant on Long Street. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I think it's incredibly important for South African women to be able to access. We want to buy it.
Take action.
Within the next month.
Within the next month, you'll be able to buy this collection. I'm looking forward to this particular jumpsuit.
So we only have like 5 minutes left for this panel, and probably I can just squeeze in maybe a question. And, how you describe or how you look at African fashion is really for yourself to actually define your own fashion. But I'll have one question, and let's see.
Thank you. How can ladies outside of Nigeria buy your outfits? The question's to Folake. Okay.
At the moment, most of my market is in Nigeria at the moment, but in Italy, you can now, at La Rinascente, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it. La Rinascente. Okay, you can shop the Tiffany Amber collection with this Spring-Summer 2013 collection on Yux.com. Again, another Italian company. You can shop Tiffany Amber. And you're about to have a www.tiffanyamberng.com online store. And within the next month, you can shop Tiffany Amber at Merchant on Long Street here.
And maybe soon we can actually have flagship shops like, on the high streets of England, Well, in New York, where we just have a flagship shop, which just sells African fashion designers, which we actually don't have anywhere. So.
And what I know that's in the works is an online store for high-end African designers,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is, I don't know, I'm sure they've been in touch with you.
Which one?
I don't know, I
No, they're
don't know
quite
the
online.
name,
They're
but
online.
it's starting.
Yeah, you can go
And if they
to
haven't, they
my
should be.
show. They just sell African fashion. There's Sapel. There are quite a few online fashion Africa, which just specifically just do African fashion design. So you can actually go online and feel confident that it's secure, and you can actually.
But I think it starts with it's a cultural shift because the retailers go outside Africa to shop and they bring it here. And I think it's important to try to the media and support even people who are buying it to start thinking that I can buy these things here. I don't need to go to China in order to put it in my shop.
It's unfortunate that to a great extent we still think anything that is made in Africa is not that great. We'd rather go for a brand abroad. And I'm proud to say that I have a daughter who only wears local designers when she sings. Lindy Wesato.
Yes, and she
Yeah.
looks fantastic. Always.
Yeah, thank
We've got fantastic talent in Africa. I've seen it.
One
in
more,
all
right
fashion
there.
shows.
One more question, then I'm closing this.
Okay.
One question for the ladies in fashion. I think it's clear that African fashion has just grown really fast in the past years and just a lot of talent out there. But it seems like African fashion is still too expensive and not affordable. And I think it's not only a matter of retail access, but also how do we make sure that instead of going and buying a jacket at Zara, we actually have an African Zara. Because a lot of our designers, in terms of quality, are not at par with what is coming in, but still the pricing is completely out of range.
Okay. I think it's pretty much it starts from the cotton growers and encouraging farmers to grow cotton, and then on the other side is the quality of fabric that you have, because people want to compete with international standards in order for the consumer to buy it. So they're comparing the Midwest or the Western world quality of product in terms of fabric. So that becomes a challenge. But if we can have manufacturers here in Africa and have the quality of fabric that can have it, I think it would be cheaper and they can actually value it the same, but then have it at a lower price as a garment.
Quick comment.
I know when it comes to fashion, we're going to want to stay here for the whole night. So I'm going to have to cut it short right now.
Okay.
And don't talk about shoes, otherwise we're going to be here the
we
whole
haven't
night.
even touched handbags.
Anyway, thanks a million. Truly appreciate your input on this important topic of looking good. Because they say 93% is all about optics. So you're helping us out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Give him another hand. Thank you.